Hello, everybody. We're on our third movie of 2026. Seems to be a strong year so far. Today we watched Dead Man's Wire. Aiden, what is the plot of Dead Man's Wire?
Dead Man's Wire tells the true story of a hostage situation that unfolded in 1977 in Indianapolis, Indiana, where a man held the president of a mortgage company that he believes to have screwed him out of millions of dollars and essentially ruined his life by attaching a shotgun to the back of his head, which is held in place with tripwires on both the hostage and the hostage taker's necks. And he is attempting to get an apology and his money back, and kind of ends up becoming a local folk hero for standing up to the big guy while the police work to detangle the mess that he's created. Connor, what'd you think of Dead Man's Wire?
Dead Man's Wire was a pretty good movie. It's an interesting film. It seemed to have been shot on film. They have old style news recordings. It seems some were archival, some were shot for the film. Bill Skarsgård plays our lead, and it's basically a movie about two guys in a house hashing it out. One is trying to survive, and the other is a crazy man, basically. But he's brought to be crazy by society. And it is kind of interesting because the whole movie is about kind of spinning narratives. You have the mortgage company on one hand that doesn't want to admit fault for kind of screwing this guy over and doing backhanded deals to have him foreclose on his property. You have this kind of psycho man who ties up the president of the mortgage company with the shotgun, and we see both of their views and how kind of the mortgage company and their people cognitively remove themselves from what they saw as good business, which was basically getting a free plot of land, and how it ruins this guy, and the extremes he went to basically fight this private equity bullshit, which is something pretty real. It's become more real in the last couple of decades, where private equity and everything just owns everything, and it's all about screwing people over. So you have this kind of folk hero, and even back then it resonated with people. You have all these side characters that kind of have moments. You have some police officers that know the lead. You have this sort of local radio host who is the only one that our Bill Skarsgård is looking up to. It's a very interesting psychological movie. You understand kind of everyone's perspective to an extent, and you understand what led crazy men to become crazy, and you can kind of sympathize with the mortgage guy. He basically just inherited part of his father's business. But that also set him up in a unique way to where he's complacent and everything, but also has enough of a gap between him and actual responsibility. It's very interesting. You have also our lead is very egotistical, but he has pretty much nothing, so he has to basically earn his way. It's just a very, very strange, intense movie. There isn't a ton of different sets. You more or less have the initial bank set, and then the apartment set where much of the movie takes place. People are trying to negotiate it with him, come up with different ideas. They consider assassinating him. But ultimately, no one really knows how to handle the situation because it's just such an oddball situation where some guy really planned out this, basically a saw trap to get this guy absolutely screwed.
And ironically, the bank The bank president, or the mortgage president, is played by Carrie Mules, who starred in the original Saw.
Yep.
And The Princess Bride. And he was in Saw 7 for like 4 seconds for some reason. It was really stupid.
Yeah. You also
And he was in
have
Sweetwater.
you also have some other interesting characters. Al Pacino pulls like a Steven Seagal or Cameron Mitchell, where he calls into the movie 3 times and sits there. He does his classic sitting roles. Something that a lot of retired obese former actors liked to do.
It's a classic.
It's kind of a classic. But Al Pacino's role is pretty integral because his whole goal is to kind of escalate the situation. He puts business before he puts over his son. Some of his choice words, like, one of my sons is hostage, and just kind of, he doesn't really want to take a side, and he definitely doesn't want to claim any responsibility for what he did, which is pretty much what he sees as how the business works. And it's interesting because you kind of feel for all the characters. There's some moments of kind of Stockholm syndrome where our lead character, John, people kind of like. They're like, he's a nice guy, but he is holding a man hostage with a shotgun, threatening to blow his head off for days on end, and he just is kind of going crazy.
I don't think Tony did anything wrong.
Or Tony, sorry. Yeah, no, Tony's a fascinating character to study, just because in a lot of ways Tony didn't do anything wrong. He's kind of, he did. He did. But you understand why Tony did what he did. And in a cathartic way, you also understand why people in the city are kind of cheering for him. It's sort of like the Luigi Mangione effect. Like, inarguably, Luigi Mangione blowing some guy down is bad. But at the same time, a lot of people have also been screwed over by health insurance people. And you have a person who definitely, at best, turned a blind eye to a lot of shady practices. And it's the same sort of idea, which is probably largely where this character study comes from. It's kind of been a problem, especially here in America, really anywhere, recently.
Pretty much everywhere.
Where wealth inequality has started to cause people to act fucking insane. And then these insane people have their acts slightly, at least, I don't know, maybe not justified, but people sympathize with these insane people. And it's kind of an interesting thing of, like, weighing out the human value of, like, this bank president, mortgage president, more than likely has ruined dozens and dozens of lives and sleeps well saying that's how the game works, but then someone more overtly messing with them is and somebody who everybody thinks is, not your typical, he's not some sort of guy who's going around acting weird. He's not drinking blood and hailing Satan like the Columbine kids or some shit. So it is kind of an interesting sort of, like, balance where it at least gives you some sympathy for Tony as a character, despite the fact that he's doing something that's inarguably very awful. But he's doing something very inarguably awful that's against the law, where the person he's breaking, who he's basically assaulting, has done a lot of really awful things, but that's just how the game works, and that's the question is, I think the movie to an extent tries to get you to sympathize with Tony, but there's also an extent where you sort of feel bad for Tony in sort of like a Robin Hood kind of way. I mean, he's blatantly doing it for selfish reasons. They also show the footage at the end of him, like real footage of him having this ginormous ego, which they show in the movie. But you also feel somewhat sympathetic for him. And again, I think that can relate to the more modern Luigi Mangione stuff, where bro's like mewing on camera and has like fangirls that he goes out and he kisses on the lips and runs inside of the courtroom to faces fucking premeditated assassination charges. It is a absolutely fascinating look, kind of detached from the modern contexts, but this is evidently something that's still very real. You look at stuff like the Unabomber, it's happened a lot throughout even somewhat recent American history. It'll surely happen again, and it's always something that is somewhat fascinating to look at the psychology of. Obviously, you couldn't go ahead and make the Luigi Mangione biopic right now. Sympathetic Luigi Mangione biopic, but I'm sure in 2045 we'll Drunkview it and have things to say about it when enough time has passed that it's considered in good taste. I'm sure Lifetime will probably push the in good taste Luigi Mangione biopic to its limits, but also there's an extent of no one got hurt, no harm, no foul. You know?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, mentally speaking, the guy became like a giant alcoholic and like lost his company and stuff. But like, you know, as far as it goes, you know, that guy was a pretty bad. I mean, him and his family were pretty awful people. I mean, that's just kind of the role you're taking, being mortgage CEO, man. Private equity mortgage CEO, man. You're naturally can't be the most morally upstanding Mother Teresa type. It's very atypical at the very least, and the movie wants you to understand that, but also no harm, no foul. You know,
that's simple.
the moral of the story is no harm, no foul. And at the end, our lead character is acquitted of all crimes on measure of his insanity, which was kind of funny. I also like how it was the 1970s, so if you got out on an insanity plea, it wasn't like, okay, you're going to Arkham Asylum to be lobotomized for the rest of your life off of crazy horse pills. It was like, alright, you're going to sit in the mandatory psychiatry meetings for 2 years and then you're free to walk. What a weird time. Also, it was really cool as kind of a I guess a biopic or true crime story, that they did mostly a pretty good job for a smaller movie of really 1970s-izing the world, which was helped by the film cameras and everything and the cars. There were a couple times you saw like signs on the street and you're like, that sign wouldn't have existed back then. Like, I think there's one point where they're taking kind of a convoy following Tony back to his house, and Richard and Tony are freaking out and trying to make it back, and they pass this like microbrewery sign that is obviously not from 1970.
You can only do so much.
You can only do so much, and by and large, there wasn't anything too distracting. And also, I'm the type of motherfucker who wants to look for that shit, you know? I want to find the Starbucks cup, so to speak. Remember when like Game of Thrones and Disney Plus shows kept dumbass PAs would like throw Starbucks cups on Baby Yoda's sled or whatever, and then somehow it would go through like 40 hands and never be noticed until it hit Disney Plus, and it would immediately be noticed, and then they'd have to CGI it out.
Yep.
I think Game of Thrones had a couple of those controversies where it was like epic battle, and you could see somebody's like fucking Chevy Pinto in the background driving along.
The Frappuccino sitting on the Game of
Kip Harington forgot that he was drinking his Frappuccino and still had his McCafe Frappuccino in hand while he was delivering a speech. You know, and now it's CGI'd out and his hand is just like this.
They CGI'd a beer stein into it.
Yeah, the mead mug. Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's fun. It's weird. It relates to a lot of modern stuff, but it's kind of a fun story because no harm, no foul, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like some depressing story where you have to, like, really... I mean, yeah, you can weigh the morals a bit, but ultimately what makes it the most fun is that no harm, no foul. The guy probably deserved it a little bit, you know? And he never got his head blown off, so no harm, no foul.
It all worked out in the end.
It all worked out. I also liked the idea. They just kept living in the same town, so both the movie makes one more scene where they see each other, which might have been dramatized, but also like there's like a quote from Richard, the guy who was held hostage at the end when they were doing like the "Where Are They Now" thing, and it's like when Tony finally died, he's like, "Great, now I don't gotta hear that fucking jackass talking anymore." It's like they just kept interacting. Bro was held hostage for 3 days with a shotgun to his face and still bumped into the man at the supermarket because he got up from being insane, and back in the day that just meant 2 years of psychiatry visits and then you're free to go.
Yep.
He kept up on his probation. Couple Dilbert boomers getting in a blood feud, but no one got hurt, so it's no harm, no foul.
Yes, sir.
That's the movie. So, Aiden, what did you think of Dead Man's Wire?
I like Dead Man's Wire a lot. It's not a very flashy movie. It's not very long. It looks very nice. Very obviously shot on film using older lenses, older techniques that give it an authentic vintage feel, and intercutting it with both real and fake news footage to really sell that with the shitty like early tape days where everything's all fuzzy and grainy and the colors are all blown out. But it's nothing flashy. Sort of a light, dry comedy. Lots of funny contrasts in the situation with how Bill Skarsgård acts, where despite everything, he's an extremely polite Midwestern man who has to apologize every time he swears, and who gets very chummy with his hostage. You know, they're not really friends, but they, he's not outside of the disregarding the shotgun thing. Disregarding the shotgun thing, it's not like he's mistreating the guy, he's just hanging out and chatting with him, and
when he has his negotiation with Al Pacino, the guy is more mad at Al Pacino for just being a dumbass who won't concede to save his life than...
Yeah.
It's weird and funny.
Lots of hijinks. I mean, especially the first, 45 minutes
right
on the way out of the bank when all the cops start pulling up and he recognizes them all from the bars he hangs out at, and he has his little slipping on ice kerfuffle, which actually happened in real life too, which would have been a big oopsie.
People do be slipping on ice in these icy states, man.
Should have planned it for the summer. No, it worked out.
With his little heist thing, he should have been scoping the place out in the middle of the night, laying salt down. Laying down that That's extra fine. Burn. Pet's safe though. You don't want to hurt any of the dogs. Don't want to hurt their pads, you know.
Perhaps the only truly unfortunate part of the movie is that the ending comes up pretty abruptly, but that's just the nature of depicting real events. Whereas there's a 3-day hostage situation, and then on the morning of the 3rd day they just got him really easily because he's just some guy.
Yeah.
And the movie's over in 5 minutes. Which is fine. I mean, that is objectively what happens, but it doesn't make for a very the movie feels like it is building up to something, but then it just doesn't, which is sometimes how real life is.
Scarface, yeah. That's usually how real life is kind of the problem.
Yeah.
With depicting real life events.
But, not something to hold too heavily against the movie. I mean, their hands were a bit tied. Liked the cast a lot. Liked the style. It's good. I mean, there isn't a lot to say about it that we haven't already. It's funny, intense, and awkward and weird, and really makes you think.
I also talked quite a bit about how Tony was this kind of sympathetic guy Richard also has some sympathetic moments. Like, he's like, I'm just playing the game, playing the cards I was dealt, which happen to be good cards, but he seems like a pretty reasonable and nice guy. It really wasn't until the court that he seemed to have any real anger against, and the start a little bit when he's first nervous, but after a while, him and Tony are just kind of chilling, hanging out and doing random stuff.
Yeah, they settle into a little routine.
Which also explains the awkward. Which also explains the awkward kind of. Yeah, there's a very Midwest vibe to it, but like the awkward Midwest vibe of neither of them were gonna leave the town, so they just kind of awkwardly would like bump into each other at the bagel shop and whatever.
Yeah.
And they were just both around for the rest of their lives. It's very.
What are you gonna do?
It's very Midwestern. It's not like you can move a town over, or like with his millions of dollars, Richard couldn't find a different house or.
Yeah, well,
that's the Midwest. You don't leave.
That's the Midwest.
You don't move. It's the Midwest.
Yeah, Connor, would you recommend Dead Man's Wire?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I thought it was very good. I think it's... I mean, this and The Bone Temple, which we reviewed last time, were both very good movies, so I'm pretty optimistic about 2026, a year that's going to end with Avengers Doomsday, mind you. So I don't know how long the optimism will stay, but they're coming out with some heat to start the year, which, I mean, usually there's one or two hidden gems in January, but I find it pretty rare to enjoy two movies for very different reasons so much, coming so early into the year. I thought there was a lot to like here. I thought it was a fascinating story. I thought they did a good job making the period, and it felt like a movie that could have been shot 40 years ago by most regards. Obviously, there's like Bill Skarsgård. Wouldn't really work. But, yeah, I thought it was very good. I would highly recommend it for people who are interested in like true crime and stuff. I also think the nature of nobody actually getting their head blown off means that it's a little more accessible to people who might be a little more squeamish about those things. It's very much. I mean, it's a bit of a tense thriller at points.
It's uncomfortable, but nobody
It's
dies.
uncomfortable, but it's also just infinitely fascinating, and I think is an interesting story. Given the fact that in some ways recently you have cases and stuff that if history repeats and people cheer for the Robin Hood characters, even if perhaps Robin Hood's a bit of a fucking psycho and might be a bit crazy. So Aiden, would you recommend this movie?
Beg recommends. A bit of a slower movie. Definitely a 70s style movie. Surprisingly funny, surprisingly charming. It's a good time, and we'll see you next time for a bad movie.
Probably. I mean, we don't really got much good. The rest
It's
of
Mercy. It's Mercy next.
We don't have much good left on the agenda this month.
Haven't seen Mercy yet, but it's a strong contender for maybe the worst movie ever made.
I'm not ruling it out entirely. Alright, we have Mercy, Silent Hill, Return to Silent Hill, Send Help with Sam Raimi, by Sam Raimi, and Jason Statham's new Geezer teaser.
I'm missing a couple of these.
Are you? Well, Shelter is gone now, so I think the only one you're missing is Silent Hill. We might have to go there to the theater and figure it out with them, because for some reason it won't take it off because they froze the movie or canceled it. So I think you have Send Help.
When have we seen this?
Silent Hill?
22nd at what time? 5?
Silent Hill is 6:45. Auditorium. There's a 5 for Silent Hill? Oh no, we can't see it on Thursday. We have to see it on Monday.
Oh.
That's the thing, because we already have Mercy. We already have Mercy on Thursday.
Well, if it's on Monday, we might be able to make the 4 work, right?
4:45.
I mean, I'd have to dip out on work a little bit early, but
I mean, it's up to you. Otherwise, we can just play Lego Dimensions for a while. And
yeah, okay.
just 6:40. Because how long is this movie? I can't imagine it's more than 90 minutes. It's Silent Hill.
You're right.
They don't really have confidence in these movies anymore. You aren't exactly seeing these movies break like fucking 90 minutes.
I mean, the first 2 Silent Hill movies are watchable.
I'm not saying they're not watchable. Hour 45. Yeah, I think we can just do the 6:45. That should work. Anyways, we'll see you next time when we watch Mercy.
Oh man, call me excited.
Oh, Mercy's gonna be something. What is that? This Thursday? I think
It's directed by the guy who directed the first Silent Hill movie. That's watchable.
Huh. Damn, this has been a packed month, man.
And it stars Jeremy Irvine from War Horse.
We're gonna have 2 movies a week for the rest of the month, I think.
It stars Jeremy Irvine from
22,
Mamma Mia
26,
2.
29, and February 1st, every 4 days.